Hello, this is the RPG Pundit, the final boss in internet shitlords. And because you demanded it, there's Meatball. She's looking out the window right now. But you can still see her tail there. Today, I'm going to talk about something. I was not really expecting to do a video today, but a couple of things combined to make it happen. I'm going to talk about some pretty significant news, I think. It's a sign that something I had already mentioned here, that I'd already predicted before, is apparently, it looks like it's going to be the case. And that is that Wizards of the Coast, on their own website, on their own store, have removed physical-only products. They don't have, books, right? You can't buy just a book from the Wizards site anymore of D&D, You can still get bundles, which are books plus PDF, but who knows how long that lasts, right? And I think all of this, it might be something else, but it is a very possible sign of something I predicted, which is specifically that because of the new direction that they're trying to head in, because of Williams' agenda to make $1 billion from D&D and the realization that book sales will never cut it. That'll never do it for them. At least not rule book sales, right? Or supplement sales, even worse, right? So they are going to shift out of making actual D&D books. And I know that sounds crazy, but I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen. So what we're going to see, if I'm right, this is my prediction, I could be wrong, but it's logical within the context of their agenda, right? One of the big issues, the thing that they think is going to make them $1 billion, the linchpin of it is the virtual tabletop. So for that, they need everybody to move to the virtual tabletop. If you can buy a physical book and play your game on a physical table, then you're not going to go on the tabletop, right? On the virtual tabletop. So they're going to try to discourage that. They're going to try to encourage people and a generation of gamers to think of Dungeons and Dragons as something you play on a computer screen, not in person with your friends. Okay? So if I'm right, they're going to get rid of the books. The next edition, the D&D, the one D&D, right? The one D&D is going to have maybe the 3 core books, right? Those might come out in print. They might still do that because that makes the most money out of any product, right? Anytime that in any edition of D&D, the products that sell best are the core books, right? And so after that, everything else declines. Everything else is less in comparison. And what that means is that instead, what they're going to have is, okay, maybe they have the 3 core books in physical structure. You might still be able to buy that on, at Barnes & Noble or something, or order it on Amazon as a book, not just as a PDF. But everything else is going to be only on PDF. And I think that means obviously also a couple of things, which are, I would say it's a happy coincidence, right? Which is that there's no longer going to be the kind of Radiant Citadel type book where you get, some hipster leftist, diversity figure gets tapped to produce the book. He gets 50 of his friends, most of whom don't play D&D, and they make this book so that they all make a bit of money, and they all get to have the clout and the virtue signaling and everything, right? And the whole thing is a circular exercise in impotence, right? It doesn't achieve a damn thing. And I think Wizards know that. I think certainly Cynthia Williams knows that. Yes, they talk a lot about diversity, but she's from Microsoft. That's all you need to know, really. Right? So that is going to go away. I'm pretty sure. If this is a sign of what I'm predicting, then that's going to be gone. Those books are never going to be made again. What will happen is that you'll get products that will be made specifically for the virtual tabletop, right? So the first thing that'll come out are the 3 core books. And then after that, what you'll get is special campaigns connected to the virtual tabletop that have all kinds of features in the virtual tabletops that have extras you can buy, right? All of that, the microtransactions. That's what Williams is a specialist in, microtransactions. And that's where she thinks she's going to make the money for D&D. So they're going to produce an adventure for the virtual tabletop. It'll come with a product in the virtual tabletop that the DM can use that virtual tabletop dungeon. They're going to try and make it as impressive as possible, of course. And then there'll be like extras that you can add on to that campaign for more features, right? That will cost either the DM or the players small amounts of money to enhance the experience. And that's what they think is going to be their killer app. That's how they think they're going to make $1 billion. Will it succeed? I'm very dubious about that. I really doubt it. I think one of the things it depended on was the OGL 1.1, which didn't end up happening. So now they don't have a captive audience that they would have liked to have had, right? Because their plan was not just to shut down all the print editions of D&D books. It was to shut down all the print editions of every product that they could claim under the OGL. All of that goes away, and suddenly no one has anything left that they can do except go to the virtual tabletop. That's how they were thinking. It's wrong. It's fundamentally wrong right from the beginning. Even if they'd gotten the OGL 1.1, it never would have worked. But now it's definitely not going to work, I think. So that's what they're aiming at, though. That's what they're gonna create. And so the products that are going to come out are not going to be culture wank products, right? You're not going to have a virtual tabletop adventure about going and tasting arepas at a night market like you have in Radiant Citadel. You're not going to have an adventure on the virtual tabletop where you're working at Fantasy Starbucks in Strixhaven, right? That's just not going to happen. Those sort of things are done because it's a virtual tabletop. So it'll be, the medium is the message, right? The virtual tabletop is made for dungeons, maybe for overland. It's made for complex combat scenarios, right, where you're basically using the minis of the virtual tabletop. So it's going to have adventures that have that. In some ways, ironically, it's going to kill this kind of anti-adventuring element that Wizards books have ended up being because of the presence of the wokeists who despise the adventuring concept itself. They hate the hero's journey. They don't want that to be a part of D&D products. They want D&D products to be about going to night markets, talking to your friends about your feelings. There's an article that came out recently about how it's, basically it's probably straight white males' fault. I didn't even read the article, I'm going to admit, but it was, I just kind of glanced at it. But it's about how it's deeply wrong that in the tabletop RPGs, there's much more time spent on relationships and sex. Because I'm sure that I don't know what your typical table looks like. There's nobody I want to have pretend sex with at my table. I'm just gonna say it. I'm sorry, guys. I really am, but there's nobody at my table that I would want to have pretend sex with. I'm guessing most of you, if any of you that are at one of my tables is hearing this, are probably relieved at that fact right now, actually, right? But yeah, this is the kind of nonsense that only millennial hipster wokeists can bring up, right? And it's nonsense that has absolutely permeated the last several products. And I'm not saying that there's going to be no wokeism on the virtual tabletop. I'm sure there will be. There'll probably be, diversity NPCs still, right? There'll be some nonsense, someone in a magic wheelchair. There'll be, gratuitous lesbian couples or gratuitous gay couples or gratuitous trans people or whatever. It'll all, that stuff will still be there. But the nature of a virtual tabletop will basically force the adventure to be more adventure-y, let's say, than what you would get in like when you give 50 communist hiptards a carte blanche to make the sort of stories they want to tell in the form of a D&D adventure. All these failed young adult novelists and vegan cookbook writers, they're going to make complete garbage, and it's not even going to look like an adventure, right? But that's going to be gone, and these people are not going to be the ones doing that, right? Well, it's probably going to be people who know something about programming or something, it's going to be very different. So in a way, that might actually help WotC D&D. Now, I don't think that getting rid of the print book is going to help them. I think I hope that at the very least they have the presence of mind to publish the 3 main books, right? Because otherwise it's like burning your ships, right? Like you've crossed the sea, now you burned the ships, and there's no going back if you do that, right? But I mean, ultimately, I don't care much because obviously nothing Wizards does matters to me. The OSR matters to me. There's lots of shit going on in the OSR right now too, but I'm not going to talk about it on this channel because that'll give certain people too much attention. So Anyways, if you want to hear more about that other stuff, you should probably check out on Sunday. We're going to have our first episode of Inappropriate Characters with our newest host, which is Diversity and Dragons, the Double D. So be sure to check us out there. And meanwhile, I don't know. What do you think? I think that one of the things that going all virtual is going to happen is going to do for, which is the coast, is that it's essentially going to alienate it from the entire rest of the hobby. And I think maybe they want that. I don't know. I don't know how deeply they've thought about it, but maybe if they had deeply thought about it, they might say, yeah, we want that. We don't want, we're not looking for a Gen X crowd, and we're not looking for people who want to play in their homes with their friends. Right, we're looking for people that want to play online because there's more money in that. And in fact, if we separate those two cultures, it's a net gain for us. But guess what? Over here, from like the tabletop contingent, it's a net gain for us too, bitch. we're very happy to see the end of you, right? To see you leave and become a different type of hobby and not even really be D&D anymore. And we will be the true guardians of D&D, right? So like when the barbarians, when they overrun you and you're gone, we're still going to be here, maintaining the light of civilization. That's how it's going to go. So, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with them doing this. I think it's good. It's kind of funny. I don't think it'll work for them, but yeah. Anyways, I guess that's everything I had to say today. It's going to be kind of a shorter video than usual. If you like this video, please share it anywhere you think people will find it interesting, or where they'll get pissed off about it. And if you want to support me, and I'm always grateful for that, you can always pick up my books. Now, I know I haven't published a book in a long time. The last book I did was the Gonzo Fantasy Companion that came out in February. I've got books waiting to be published, books that are done, but my publishers haven't put them out yet. But I've been promised by a couple of my publishers that there are going to be a couple of books that should be coming out in July and or August. I can't promise you that because I've heard stuff before that later on gets extended and whatever, but I'm hoping for that. So stay tuned for that. Now, meanwhile, if you've bought every single product ever that I've made and you still want to support me, there's in the link in the description, there's a Patreon link, and you could always send me money on Patreon. I can't, I'm not going to give you anything for it, but I'm always grateful to people who want to keep supporting me and fighting the good fight in standing for RPGs. And so it's like, you're giving me a tip or something. So that would be great. But if you haven't bought all my stuff yet, please check out my stuff like Sword and Caravan, which is OSR Adventures on the Silk Road, a complete campaign full of details, super historically authentic. The Gonzo Fantasy Companion, which is full of stuff that you can use in your OSR or D&D game to amp up the Gonzo levels. There's rules on intelligent animals. There's rules on creating weird races, weird new character races. There's rules on mutants. There's rules on monsters. There's rules on creating underground high-tech complexes. There's random tables of all kinds, weird magic items, weird monsters. It's a big compendium, 250 pages, 230 pages, I forget. That is just full of stuff to give you ideas to add more weird fantasy to your game, okay? Or the Invisible College, which is an occult modern conspiracy RPG. Look, if you like RPGs that have like magic and supernatural elements in a modern setting, but you're sick to death of Cthulhu, check out the Invisible College. It's completely different, but it's you play supernatural secret agents, magicians in like the old high magic hermetic tradition, fighting against other evil groups that want to essentially enslave humanity. So it's really cool. There's lots of cool rules in there too, faction rules and things like that. So be sure to check it out. And check out all my other products, including RPG Pundit Presents. There should be, one of the things that should be coming out this month or next is another issue of RPG Pundit Presents. Check out Social Encounters on the Silk Road. There should be 1 or 2 books, more small supplements for the Silk Road coming out soon. And A Lion and Dragon, of course, Arrows of Indra, all of that stuff. Thank you so much for listening, like always. And spread the word. Spread the word, share the video, tell everybody. about the fact that it looks like Wizards might be on the course to no longer producing book supplements for D&D. Currently smoking Lorenzetti egg plus Argento roots.